Hello everyone, it's Leon here, and I am with
Joel. Hello.
Hello, who has been playing Grand Theft Auto 5. First of all, what have you given it?
10.
Okay,
Big fat 10.
Big fat 10. Any no other awards or anything? Just a 10.
Gold award.
Gold award.
Yeah. There's really no I'm sure someone will argue otherwise, but that's always the way. There's no real debate, to be honest. It's one of the most obvious and ironclad 10 out of 10 games I've ever played. I would suggest there's as much, if not more, expectation surrounding this game than there ever has been around any game ever, and I think all of those expectations have been exceeded.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because when you get to this sort of level, like say, of expectation, like with films or anything, it's almost impossible to deliver on what people have imagined they're going to get in their heads.
And yet somehow Rockstar have managed to not only deliver, they've done, as I say, it's just more than I possibly hoped for, and it really is incredible. It's everything you've ever wanted a GTA game to be, with a whole lot of extra stuff in there as well.
What are the sort of the standout sort of things for you in terms of what it does as a game, or mechanics?
It's nigh on impossible to pick like standout things because everything's so well done. I mean, I really struggled writing the review to know what to talk about first. Really, I think for me the most impressive thing is just the world. How detailed and slick and massive and just believable the whole world is.
It looks incredible, sort of rolling past here. There's none of that kind of like pop-up or any sort of any of the normal kind of slight graphical fluctuations.
No, it looks amazing, and the world is enormous, but it's not just enormous. There's like lovely detailing everywhere you go. I mean, the attention to detail in every different environment is astonishing, and it just makes it feel like it's the most well-rounded and convincing virtual game world I've ever seen, and I couldn't believe it when I first started playing it, and I still can't really believe it now, and I've been playing it for like 40 hours, so the world for me is the thing. But then there's refined mechanics, an incredible selection of consistently enjoyable missions, loads of side quests, loads of side activities, loads of leisure activities, really compelling characters, like consistently hilarious satire, and a really interesting story. And that still doesn't cover all of it.
So what's the setup? What's going on this time?
I don't really want to go too much into it because it's not quite what you expect in terms of how the game starts. The setup in general terms is basically that you've got these three criminals. You've got Michael, who we see here in a fist fight, who's a sort of middle-aged retired bank robber. You've got Trevor here, who's the kind of psychotic trailer-dwelling nutbutter, and then you've got Franklin, who we saw earlier, who's the kind of more typical street gangster youngster who's kind of doing petty crime and kind of trying to work his way up. And how they come together and link up, I'll leave to people to discover as they play it. But basically they do come together and they do link up, and then they go do them crimes together. And the crimes, as you'd expect, get bigger in scale and ambition and danger and payoff, although actually they start off pretty impressively big as well. So yeah, it's in a sense what you'd expect from GTA, but with a level of kind of polish and brilliance in every regard that you couldn't really expect from any game.
Okay, so there are kind of a few changes this time. We mentioned obviously Franklin, Trevor, and Michael. So they've got abilities.
Yes.
So Michael is basically Max Payne.
Michael is bullet time. Yeah.
Franklin is bullet time in cars.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
I've had it
so good that I think it's by far the best of the three, because when you're like in a chase or trying to get away or just driving, driving around, you don't want to crash, which I always find really annoying when I like ding a really nice car. You click the sticks and it goes into slow-mo, and then you have incredible precision control over the car at high speeds.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. And then Trevor's is... It's sort of... Everything goes kind of hazy, and he deals extra damage. Yeah, kind of. He deals extra damage and becomes nigh on invulnerable for a short period of time. They all work really well, but Franklin's is definitely the best.
Yeah, and I mean, normally GTA's thing is that it doesn't do kind of gamey kind of mechanics, does it? And now there's music outside of the cars, there's a score, they've got these sort of special abilities. It's sort of like they've conceded a little bit to what people want a game to do.
They have a little bit. I mean, there's the special abilities, there's stats which you can upgrade. So there's like your swimming stat, your driving stat, your stamina stat, and stuff like that. So they've gamified it slightly, but never in a way that kind of feels like it detracts from the I say realism, sort of quasi-realism of the world. Like for instance,
Yeah.
Trevor starts off really good at flying, but that's because he's like an ex-military pilot and stuff like that. So they all kind of have their reasons for being good at stuff. And Franklin's like a repo guy, which is why he's really good at driving and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's gamified, but like not in a way that you'd have to be mad to go, oh, they've ruined it because now it's unrealistic. Like,
no, it does fit in from what I've played.
Yeah.
How does it work then with missions? Because obviously you can switch between them in the missions at certain points. Do you sort of find yourself favouring, or does it offer you the right guy for the job?
It depends. It depends. Sometimes you have to switch. Sometimes it'll go, you need to do this objective with this particular character. Sometimes it'll sort of recommend that you switch by flashing one of them in red to tell you they're in danger, so you kind of need to switch to him to get him out of danger. Although no one died because I wasn't playing as them at any point,
Okay.
Which was good, although I did kind of leave people stranded in places every now and then. And then sometimes you can just kind of pick as to what you think's a good idea. So like, if you're about to do a getaway, you might want to switch to Franklin because he's got the driving ability.
Yeah.
So like you can do that better. Or if there's loads of enemies that have just come in, you might want to switch to Trevor because you can stop him taking damage for a while and kind of clear out some of the numbers. So it depends. Sometimes it's totally in your hands. Sometimes the game forces you. And then outside of missions, you can pretty much change whenever you want. There's the odd moment when it says things like, so-and-so is laying low after their latest crime and you can't switch to them, and it kind of works for the story. Or if you're being chased by the police or something like that, you can't switch at that
So
point.
you can't just drop.
However, sometimes you switch to someone who is being chased by the police.
I wondered about this because I've been playing it to capture it, so I've just been dipping in and out and doing stuff. And at one point, I switched to Trevor, and he was throwing a man off a bridge.
Right, okay.
And there was no explanation or anything. He just
Yeah.
called him a few names and pushed him over the balcony banister thing.
Right.
And then I was controlling him, and I was like, "Well, is that come from anywhere?" Is
Yeah, no, I mean, sometimes you get that. You'll get. I mean, I had one where he woke up on a beach in his underpants surrounded by dead bodies, and he just woke up drunk and just went, "It wasn't me," and then kind of ran away. So you'll get all sorts of things. Sometimes it'll be really innocent, it'll be someone sat by the pool or having a coffee or something. Sometimes they'll be in a police chase, and sometimes they'll have just committed mass murder.
Lovely. That's what you would expect.
Yeah.
Everything overall, I think, from what I've played, like I say, I've just been dipping in and out. Everything just does feel more polished and more just easier, and all sort of the weird things you sort of remember from GTA, like the flying being a little tricky or certain things being a little pernickety. Everything just works perfectly.
Yeah, the flying's great actually.
Because this is me flying it now, and I was just going right down to sea level. Normally by now I would have nosedived this plane about 4 times
Yeah.
and would have gone away for a cup of tea and a calm
Planes
down.
feel great. Helicopters are slightly trickier, but again, once you get the hang of them, they're pretty good. Yeah, like you say, everything just kind of has been made that little bit easier. Not in the sense that the game is now too easy, though it's not massively challenging. But then GTA's rarely are, apart from the odd bit in San Andreas here and there. And mainly, if they were difficult, it was because of bad checkpointing, which thankfully has been sorted out here.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything's just kind of as you want it to be. Like they've kind of taken how mechanics work well in other games and put them in here. Like, so the weapons are now on a radial wheel.
Yeah.
The kind of cover system and targeting system they've sort of taken from Max Payne. The driving is so much better than GTA 4, but yet not ridiculously easy. The cars all feel really impressively distinct, actually. Like, you can actually really feel the difference if you go off road and say a two-wheel drive car compared to a four-wheel drive car. This is the slow-mo
yeah.
car bit,
Which is great, like, 'cause that's normally what happens in a GTA race. Is not you're tearing along, 2 cars sort of pull out in front of you and it's all over, but this you can just whisper between them.
And so everything works really well. And then of course there's the headline missions, which are the big heists.
These are the heists,
which we're seeing a bit here.
This is the very first one you do, isn't it? This is kind of the prep. You go in, you take pictures of things. Is it Lester?
Lester's your like criminal contact man who kind of sets up the scores and deals with the kind of behind the scenes work and then launders your money afterwards and stuff like that.
This is kind of like almost like the tutorial initial heist, isn't it?
Yes, this is a jewelry store heist, the one we saw in the trailers. So they all kind of function in the same way, although the content's really different. There's like the setup, so you go and scout the location essentially.
And are they all like this? You go and wander around and take pictures?
Some are different. Some are pictures. Some are you just need to like go to the location. Some you just need to like hear about it from someone. But then there's usually like some preparation. So, for instance, this one depending on your approach, you need different equipment, and there's always two options. It usually comes down to essentially go loud or go smart,
Yeah.
but then again, they do vary depending on the actual heist. So this one, for instance, I chose to go smart. So the smart option is to throw sleeping gas canisters in through the air conditioning vent, which you also have to photograph beforehand. So obviously you need sleeping gas canisters, so you have to go and steal them.
So do you choose your approach, then you get the things?
It depends. Sometimes you choose your approach and then you get the things. Sometimes you get the things and then he says, oh, we could also do it this way. So it really depends. This one you choose the approach and then you need to get the stuff, basically. So I decided to do it that way. So you throw the canisters into the air vent, knock everybody out, and then the idea is you go in while the alarms are down, and just take everything and drive off, no problem. That's the idea, essentially. But obviously there's other stuff and other people who play into that. So for each one you have to hire a crew. So for this one you have to hire 3 people. You have to hire a hacker, a driver and a gunman. So the hacker gets the alarm system down. So the better your hacker, the longer you have with the alarms down to steal the jewels. The better your driver, the better getaway vehicles he's provided for you when you try and leave.
Okay.
And then the better the gunman, obviously the better weapons you have and the better he is at shooting if you get into any firefights. So I chose the good hacker, so I had a lot of time, so I was able to get all the jewels out of the store. Chose a good driver, so I was able to get really good bikes to get away. The chase when you leave the jewelry store was really great. But I chose a bad gunman because they said, well, this way shouldn't be violent, so
everyone's going to be knocked out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. However, bad gunman equaled bad bike driver, so he spilled a third of the take because he crashed. So this is it basically.
Yeah.
So I picked good driver, good hacker, bad gunman. So he dropped a third of the money, which we never got back.
The risk and reward here as well. The better the person, the more
their cut percentage. So you can see here. So good driver takes 14%, bad driver takes 8%.
But the interesting thing is, so if you hire like basically a crap person, and then if you keep using them, you can train them up, but their cut never gets any bigger.
Yes. So that's kind of the idea. If you want to take the hit early on, then by the end they might be better and they'll still only take 4 or 7% or whatever. So you'll end up with more money down the road.
Yeah, so here we got good driver, bad gunman, good hacker.
Yeah, exactly. The other interesting thing is you can do some of the side quests. You meet people, other criminals or wannabe criminals, who then go, oh, if you have any jobs, keep me in mind. So your options for who you can recruit actually increase as you go on if you do certain side missions. So one of the hackers in that list of 3 there was a guy I met when I invaded the life hacker, i.e. Facebook offices.
Yes.
And then later on you meet this getaway driver who's been stranded at the side of the road and stuff like that. So more people will become available as you go on. And like you say, by the end, if you use the same ones each time, then they get very good.
This is the quiet option we see here. So
yeah, so you also have to, as well as the gas, you also have to get the suits. I think it's like a extermination.
That was the fight we saw earlier. Actually,
Yeah.
He was beating up the men to steal the van.
So this is it. So you get with the good hacker, you get about 90 seconds to get all the jewels, which is just about long enough to clear it out. And I think I ended up taking about 4 mil, 4.5 maybe, but the driver spilled one of the bags, which you can actually stop and pick up, but I didn't because I didn't think we had time, so I lost quite a lot of my money.
When you keep them and they get better, do you assign any points at all, or do they just automatically level up?
No, they just automatically level up, but you can really notice it. Like during one of the later heists, my gunman had like full everything, and I just at one point stopped shooting and watched as he killed like dozens and dozens of cops. It was really quite impressive.
Were you proud?
I was really proud. And then on the next heist, when you're flicking through the names, Michael goes like, "Oh, this guy performed really well in so and so, and he was with us at the so and so job, so we should use him again."
I noticed actually because, like I say, dipping in and out, but I noticed a couple of times when the characters make very specific dialogue references to things you've done.
Yeah.
I wonder how much of that there is, because it was quite like I felt like, they know what I've been doing.
Yeah, it's true. And also the other thing which is good, so this was the quiet option, which gets slightly loud because there's a traffic cop as you leave, and you basically have to get away. This chase is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
But you can also, with any mission, including the heist, which surprised me, is you can go back and replay it however you want. So if you want to go back and do the loud option afterwards, you can do that.
So you don't shut off any sort of options?
No, not at all. And interestingly enough, there's a choice or two later in the game that you have to make, and once you've done it and kind of gone on with the game, you can then later on go back and make the other choice as well.
Okay.
So it's replayability, and it also you didn't go down the little alleyway.
I was trying to get as much as I could in this video.
And so it's all open to you basically.
Okay, well let's. We asked for some questions, so let's do a couple of the reader questions that have been sent in. Creep Mode says, please comment on frame rate slowdown, image quality, and pop-up. And also Pie Guy says about the frame rate. Does it chug when there's a lot of action?
Frame rate's fantastic. Almost no problem with that. Tiny bit of pop-up if you're going at very high speeds, and if you're... I was standing on a big hill looking down the scope of my sniper rifle, and there was basically no one in the distance. But graphically and technologically, it holds up really well. It crashed once for me in 40 hours when I backflipped a bus into a tree. I don't think it was expecting that. So, yeah, really, the least glitchy Rockstar game ever, and one of the least glitchy open world games I can think of.
Cool, okay. Bradley Jarvis says, will you have to progress to unlock shops or certain items in shops, or will they all be available from the start?
You do have to progress to unlock guns and stuff in the shops, yeah. The whole map is open from the start, which is remarkable, but guns and stuff unlock as you go through.
Okay, Boldylocks says, can you play co-op 2-player, or is GT Online the only way?
GTA Online is the only way. It's single player only in the main game.
And should mention as well, GTA Online isn't part of this yet,
No,
is
this
it?
isn't. GTA Online it launches on the 1st of October, and we'll be covering that completely separately. So all of this is just the main game you get on the disc the day you buy it. GTA Online unlocks 2 weeks after launch day.
Okay, the Big Goldfish asks if there's a car crusher.
The Big Goldfish. A car crusher. There is a scrap metal yard you can buy which crushes cars, and the more cars you wreck, the more money you make from your scrap yard. So technically, yes.
So is there property management like Vice City?
Yes, you can buy a golf club, costs 150 million if you have that money. You can buy cinemas, marinas, airplane hangars. Yes, there's a property management thing. It's really cool, and it pays you like a weekly profit.
Nice one. We got one from Tech Meets Dan, who says, what happens, or asks I should say, what happens if one of your partners die? Does the mission end?
Yes.
But
it's not like Heavy Rain, you can't go through without any of them, but yes, it'll end.
Okay, what else we got? Jake Ward asks, does CJ have a cameo? I almost don't want to answer that.
I'll leave that. There's something. I'll leave that for you guys to discover.
James Mace says, when do we first see Trevor?
Again, I'll leave that for you. It's not as simple as you think, so it's a nice moment.
Yeah, a lot of people just basically want spoilers.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I don't want to spoil, and a lot of it does actually come quite early on, so again, I'll leave that for you guys to find out.
Jimmy Boy 81's got a good one. He says, is there any reason why I shouldn't buy the game?
No, absolutely not. Sell organs to buy this game. There's so much in it that you almost only need this game. Like, of all the games, this is basically the one to buy if you could only have one game.
Cool. Okay, so 10 out of 10, Gold Award. Any kind of closing comments or anything you want to say?
It's like I say, it's just an absolutely remarkable achievement in terms of game design. The world is astonishing. Like, even just looking back at it now, I can scarcely believe how much they've put in there. It's like I say, it's everything you've ever wanted a GTA to be, and a whole lot more. It's huge, it's beautiful. I've played 40 hours and I still don't feel like I'm anywhere near done. Like, I want to do more. It's really amazing. It's like, if not the greatest game of the generation, then it's certainly in the top few. So everyone should get it, and it really is amazing.
Lovely. Okay, thank you very much.